Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to another video on my channel. Today I'm doing my very first book recap and I'm very excited. So I'm doing a book recap of January 2023 because for some incredible reason it's February already. In January I read 11 books, which is quite a lot for me, I'm not gonna lie. They were all good in my opinion, and I'm excited to just share my reads of January, what I would recommend, what maybe didn't live up to the hype, all of that stuff. Those are the books that I have physically. The other books that I read, I either got from the library, borrowed from my sister, and I even read an ebook this month, which I haven't done like in years. With that being said, I'm just gonna get into it. Also, if I'm looking down, I have my Goodreads account pulled up on my computer because for the life of me, I can't remember all the books that I read this month. But the first book that I finished this month was The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. And I actually was reading this book because I was making a different video, reading like Haley Pham for a week, and this book was super cute. I have to see what I rated it really quick. So I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars because I really enjoyed the romance. It was really cute. It wasn't too spicy, maybe a little bit spicy. It was a really quick, fast-paced book, which I really appreciate when it comes to romance. My toxic trait is that I convince myself that I can read slow burn romances when in reality I really can't. And so I really enjoyed it because it was very quick to get into. I rated it 4 stars instead of 5 just because I probably wouldn't never mention it again, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't extremely memorable, it just was another romance type of thing. But it was still really cute, and I would recommend if you like fast-paced and easy to read, quick romances. The next book that I read was also for the Reading Like Haley Pham for a Week video, and that was Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. That was an absolute 5 stars for me. I devoured it within the span of 4 hours, and I honestly would reread it, which I can't say about a lot of books, especially romances, because it's like once you already know the ending, then why would you want to reread it? But it was a great romance. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to anyone. It was slow burn, but in the sense of like, you knew what you were gonna get at the end, and it was so worth it to wait. So I genuinely enjoyed it, and I would recommend to other people too. Next book that I read was Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This book, when I tell you, the hype was incredible for this book. It was. If you're on BookTok or BookTube, you've probably seen this book around. It was really popular in 2022, I would say. It was a lot longer than I was expecting. It was about halfway between 500 and 600 pages, and it was very difficult to get into at first. I think it took me like 150 pages, maybe even 200 pages to really invest in the plot. The writing, it wasn't like it was bad writing at all. But there was something about it to where it didn't capture my attention. I was like, my mind was wandering halfway through a page, and I don't fully understand why still, because it's not like the writing was very different from others, but it had a more of a millennial voice, if that makes sense, and maybe that's why, just because my attention span is not gauged towards the millennial audience. I found the characters to be quite annoying and very difficult to enjoy, especially Knox. I understand creating a character of a love interest that, you know, maybe just pretends that he hates everyone except her, or, you know, pretends he doesn't care but really he does. But it was so awfully mean that I couldn't even imagine a real person acting like it. Like, it was almost unbelievable that a real person could act as mean as Knox did. And maybe that's just my, you know, naivety of thinking that guys, if they care about you, they'll just be kind. But at the same time, he had nothing to prove. Okay, I get it. You don't want to be like your father, and I feel like that's very commendable in a male. But at the same time, he's not around, and you don't have anything to prove. So I rated it at 3 stars because I almost DNF'd it, and then I was like, you know what, keep going, there's so much hype around it. And to me, it wasn't worth it. It was too long, and I mean, the last 100 pages were the most enjoyable part. Other than that, I didn't really enjoy it at all. The next book that I read in the month was The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. I rated this book a 4 out of 5 stars because it was a lot shorter than I expected it to be. I didn't look at the page count on Amazon before buying the book, so like, that's on me. The cover is extremely cute. Anything bright pink I will buy. This is a Valentine's Day romance, so it's on Valentine's Day, and I was gonna save it to read on Valentine's Day. I'm kind of upset that I didn't, but at the same time, it was snowing and I was stuck inside, and this was the only book that I had, so I had to read it. And I think I finished it in like the span of 3.5 hours maybe. It's really, really cute. I really enjoyed it. It's about a girl who relives the same Valentine's Day and gets the opportunity to have a do-over with just figuring out who she is and what love interest she's actually interested in. I would definitely recommend to people who want a quick, easy romance, but also something that's really cute and festive for Valentine's Day. I would definitely recommend, and I probably will reread it, I'm not gonna lie. Next book that I read was People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, and I have to say this is probably my favorite Emily Henry book. I really liked Book Lovers, I'm not gonna lie, but People We Meet on Vacation was incredibly enjoyable. I really liked the plot. I thought that it was written in a much more readable and digestible way than Book Lovers and Beach Read. So I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cute, and I would recommend it. I would say that this is, again, the best Emily Henry book. It's a friends to lovers, but they both know that they're in love with each other, and that kind of stuff makes me so angry that I just keep reading because I'm like, I need to see the resolution. Yeah, I liked it. Next was The Rom-Com Agenda. This book was recommended to me on Instagram a lot, and so naturally, me being the most influential person when it comes to books, I bought it. I think it was like $8 or $9, so not a huge waste of money, but I rated it a 3 out of 5 stars. This was giving very much Hallmark, but like extremely slow Hallmark movie. It's about a girl in a small town who witnesses a guy, Eli, getting broken up with when he proposes to a girl named Victoria. And basically the whole book is about Eli trying to win back Victoria and using Leah's help, and eventually they fall in love. Spoiler alert, but again, it's extremely predictable. I feel like I would see it anytime between September to December on the Hallmark Channel. I definitely don't recommend this book. If you want to spend your time reading, you can definitely find a better book to read. It was just really slow, and there were a lot of parts where I was bored. I also read After I Do, which I think is her second novel that she's ever written. This book was incredible. I rated it a 4 stars out of 5, just because, you know when like it just hits you that a book is 5 stars? This didn't, but the plot is really good. It was really creative. It's about a couple that's been married for 11 years, and they realize that they're falling out of love with each other, so they decide together that instead of separating or divorcing, they're just gonna spend a year apart without any contact, and they just learn a lot about themselves and about what they want out of their relationship. It was an unconventional love story, as TJR does best, and I really enjoyed it. I, again, devoured it in one day, so that's how you know it was good. I also read Evidence of the Affair, which is a Taylor Jenkins Reid ebook. On my phone, it was 88 pages, and it's just a compilation of letters to one husband and one wife whose significant others are cheating on each other with each other. Does that make sense? It's basically about an affair, and the wife and the husband of these two cheating people are connecting, and it's about dealing with an affair, dealing with being cheated on, but also how they kind of form a relationship and how they explore the same things that their spouses are exploring. But then at the end, it's an unconventional love story too, because you have 2 different outcomes, but both were from the same circumstance. It's really interesting. I really enjoyed it. I finished it in like 30 minutes, so it's a really easy read, but it was still a good idea. I think it's only available on Kindle, but it's free with your Amazon Prime membership, so if you want to read it, you definitely can. I also read The Guest List by Lucy Foley. It's a mystery about a destination wedding in Ireland on a remote island that is quote-unquote haunted and has some history about murders, and it's about how the wedding party gets invited earlier. It's kind of like a murder mystery. It kind of reminds me of Knives Out, Glass Onion mixed with like Clue almost. It's like a whodunit. It was really interesting. I enjoyed it. It was the first mystery that I had read in so long because I've just been reading romances primarily for the past month and a half. So it's kind of a good refresh. I thought that I had figured it out like 6 times before I actually figured it out, and I just barely figured out the whodunit part at the end before it was revealed. So I feel like it's not super predictable, but at the same time, like, am I a sleuth? Not in the slightest. I rated that a 4 out of 5 stars. It wasn't as good as The Paris Apartment. The Paris Apartment was a 5-star read for me. It's by the same author, by the way, but it was still really enjoyable. I love how she brings it from different perspectives. And so you're seeing all these different perspectives of people and what they're going through and how they're all trying to go through it alone. The drama that ensues is just so scrumptious to me, so I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good book. So I also read Book Lovers by Emily Henry. That was for my Reading Like Haley Fam for a Week video. I rated that a 4 out of 5 stars because, okay, even though it was Hallmark inspired, very predictable, you know, very cliche, it was self-aware. And I said this in my last video, so if you guys want to watch my in-depth reviews of the videos that I read when I was reading like Haley Fam for a week, go watch that video. But basically, it was very self-aware, and the romance, it was predictable, you know, but it was also gave us what we wanted. And so it's like you knew what you were getting into going into that book and like reading it. Whereas with Beach Read, that's something that like, if it's not setting that expectation right away, then you want to be proved wrong. And so that's why I enjoyed that book. But yeah, 4 out of 5 stars, kind of boring at parts. I was stalling at the end. I was like, when is this gonna end? It was very slow burn, but the end was pretty cute and rewarding, so not that bad of a book. But yeah, if you want to see my in-depth review, go watch my video Reading Like Haley Fam. Last book of the month that I read was the second 5-star book of the year, and it's Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Any book that Taylor Jenkins Reid writes, I will read it, and I actually have read every single book that she's written, so don't know how I feel about that. But this book was beautiful. I read it in the span of probably 4 hours. It was an incredibly interesting read. Even though I've never played tennis competitively, I was still extremely interested in it, and honestly, I think Carrie Soto is my favorite character out of the Taylor Jenkins Reid universe, which is saying a lot because there's a lot of good reoccurring characters, but Carrie Soto is just so complex, and honestly, she's kind of relatable. I just really enjoyed it. I would recommend it to anyone. So worth the money. And it was hardcover, and I still enjoyed it. Okay, so those were all the books that I read in January this year. 11 in total, but if you enjoyed this type of video, give it a thumbs up and let me know, and I can continue recapping all the books that I read this year. I'm excited for my February TBR, and I'm excited to see what books I get into. I'm gonna try and go out of my comfort zone a little bit, maybe try and stray away from the stereotypical romances, but again, who's to say? Anything could happen. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.